Video games are great, with unique experiences that can't be replicated by other mediums.
But if you're interested in games and are completely new, where the heck do you even start? Hi, Mr. C here.
Now, there is a lot of games out there, and shocker, I am not some time-traveling entity, so I haven't played every video game out there.
But I believe I have some pathways that help get you in the general direction. Yes, even if you've never played a single game in your life before.
You can start anywhere you like, as these are just suggestions, or you could play them all for some weird challenge. There might be some jumps in logic or complexity throughout this, but hey, I tried my dangdest. If you think I missed the game that you think would be good for newcomers, be sure to leave a comment. While the majority I'm showing are revolving around PCs, they should be able to run on most computers that aren't still rocking a Windows 98 operating system, but I will showcase if said games are on mobile or other consoles.
Route 1. Low and slow.
Hey, are you watching this YouTube video on an internet browser? Then congratulations, you can play Hypnospace Outlaw. Hypnospace Outlaw is a game revolving around a late 90s internet hub and is a puzzle? Hold on, what does Wikipedia say? Okay, yeah, it says it's a puzzle game. It's a really great story, and honestly, if you use the internet in the early 2000s, I highly recommend it. It's up there with my top games of all time, but if you can click links and move stuff around your desktop, you can play this easy. Also, if you get stuck, search hint. Kingsway is the next step I feel on this path. Kingsway is an operating-inspired roguelike RPG with some dungeon crawling aspects. I know I just ripped off 10 terms that are confusing, but just ignore those for now. Similar to Hypnospace, you manage an operating system, but with more gameplay. Cast spells, equip your character with weapons and armor, click pop-ups and not take damage, etc. Move around the overworld and fight enemies along the way, and if you're lucky, you might end up finding one of the endings. But if you die, it's no biggie. The game is more or less built for you to die repeatedly. So get in there and figure things out and find out what works and what doesn't work. Balatro. Hey, do you know poker hands? You can play this. Actually, in fact, you don't even need the no poker hands, because you can see what poker hands are at any time in the game. Your goal is to beat the ante score, and you do that by getting jokers that give you bonuses in certain situations. Like first face card played doubles your multiplier. Then you can also upgrade your hands, give you more points and benefits to apply to the cards themselves. It just goes on and on. And some people just play Balatro and nothing else, and that's completely fine. Game of the year for a reason. Be sure to increase the game speed in the options as well as checking high contrast cards. You'll thank me later.
Now, from here you have two paths. Path 1 is going to the point and click route.
These are games that revolve mostly around pointing and clicking. Adventure games, strategy games, puzzle games, etc. There are so many games you can choose from, but here's a couple. The Secret of Monkey Island. This is probably the best point and click adventure game starting point. It's a classic, and the puzzles for the most part aren't too moon logic-y and is mostly fair. There is an updated special edition that has new graphics, sounds, and voice acting, but I kind of prefer the older version because they made Threepwood look kind of like a dweeb in the special edition. Plus, I like the more realistic looking portraits. But hey, play whatever works for you. For strategy, you have Civilization or any other 4X game, which if you don't know stands for Explore, Expand, Exploit, and Exterminate. Listen, it's a genre term, I didn't make it up. 4X games typically go at your own pace, so you can take as much time as you want. I hear Civilization 4 or 5 is the one people often go for, with 5 being actually purchasable on Steam.
Mr. C, does this mean you're playing Civ 5 again?
No. If you think 4X is too slow and you want more action, you have RTS, aka real-time strategy, where time is of the essence and you play similarly to a 4X game, but it's all happening in real time. Warcraft 2 or 3, Command and Conquer, Ages of Empire 2 are some solid choices. Now, even though Warcraft and Age of Empires 2 are 20 plus years old, it seems the only versions available of these are the Super HD whatever versions that might require more than a toaster of a PC. I talk about Steam refunds later in the video, but know that the Warcrafts are only on Game Pass or through Blizzard's launcher, so you might not be able to refund them. A puzzle game that's only clicking that I can think of would be Case of the Golden Idol. Great game, a lot of mystery and intrigue, and can make you feel like a real brainiac when you figure stuff out. Maybe I should have put this earlier? The time for regrets is later.
Path 2 is working towards RPGs or role-playing games.
Kingsway is an RPG, so with the understanding of how RPGs basically work, we can move to RPGs that have a little more depth. These first will show off our top-down RPGs, and there's a ton of options for top-down RPGs, but I went with some that I think are fairly straightforward. Final Fantasy IV, or originally known as 2 in America, confusing, I know. I'm starting with what I think is the most straightforward RPG. You don't have to worry about choosing class or spells, everything's just learned, and you don't have to worry about party makeup for the most part. And it's a pretty decent story. Chrono Trigger, the GOAT. Crazy time traveling story that it has, hold on. 13 endings? Yeah, it's crazy. Again, no class choice, but the technique system has some depths on what characters' abilities pair with each other. Great game. If you want something a little newer, you can try either Octopath Traveler or Sea of Stars. I haven't personally played either of these, so I can't comment on its difficulty or complexity. Or if you want something completely different from left field, there's Hylics. Disco Elysium, another favorite. Kind of a departure from the fantasy setting, grounded more in reality, but not too much. Now, you might boot this up and get intimidated with all the skill choices, but really just kind of go with what your heart says. There's no wrong answers. Very relatable game. Now we're moving to RPGs that require either controller or mouse and keyboard movement. For controllers, Xbox and PlayStation 4 Plus controllers generally plug and play into PCs. I would probably pick this Xbox controller if I had to, as you're less likely to run into compatibility issues with games. Even has Bluetooth stuffs. Knights of the Old Republic. No, not that one. There we go. Another classic that probably has the best twist in gaming. If the character creation or leveling has you concerned, you can find some builds out there, but I kinda winged it and I was able to finish it. Seems like going Soldier then Guardian is the popular choice. Knights of the Republic 2 is also good. When you're ready, you can move to the granddaddy of them all, Baldur's Gate 3. The amount of content in this game is unfathomable. So many classes, subclasses, classes that multi-class, so many dialogue options, and so many things happening depending on what you do or what roles you fail or not. It's just ridiculous. Just an insane amount of content. This is probably pretty difficult for newer players as the character creation and leveling can be overwhelming, but there are plenty of guides on how to build characters out there. Also will require a decent computer to run, and you can always play with a friend that uses this marking pinging system every 2 seconds.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
Route 2, the classic route.
This is what a lot of kids in the 80s and 90s did, as they got their start with oldies like Mario. Now, without going on a 20-minute rant about how much of a pain it is to legally obtain old Nintendo games, because Nintendo Switch Online only throws up one random game once a year, I have to talk about emulation. Now, legally, I'm only going to talk about the emulators themselves for the main systems, but hey, if you go to Google and search, say, system space ROMs or space ISOs, that's on you. You have a bunch of options for emulators. RetroArch is a popular option, as you can quickly download quote-unquote cores or emulators and keep them all in one spot. The setup might be a little intimidating, but know that there's guides on how to run certain systems on it. But here are emulators I have personally used and would recommend. Nintendo Entertainment System, FCEUX. Super Nintendo Entertainment System, SNES 9X. Genesis, your options are either Kega Fusion, which is fine but has some minor issues with some Sega CD games, or using RetroArch and then using the Genesis Plus GX core. And PlayStation, DuckStation. Now, there's a bunch of systems and emulators I didn't show off, like the Nintendo 64. Just know that there are countless guides on YouTube and elsewhere and emulators. You can also plug and use almost any controller your device recognizes. You'll just have to set up the buttons in the emulator. It's also important to mention the whole mobile emulation scene. I haven't used any emulators on mobile, so I don't have any personal experience. But then again, there are guides on there to hopefully point you in the right direction. RetroArch is on mobile. Anyways, tangent done, back to games. Since all the buttons are very similar, and I believe you should try to see what you like, I'm just going to list off all-time great games for each console that aren't crazily difficult at first, but some of these do get harder the further you get in though. Also, no RPGs since we covered that in the previous section. Just know that they are there, especially on the PlayStation. NES. Super Mario Brothers. Legend of Zelda. Super Mario Brothers 3. Star Tropics. Mega Man 2. Tetris. DuckTales. Punch-Out. SNES. Super Mario World. Mega Man X. Donkey Kong Country. Super Metroid. Tetris Attack. Super Mario Kart. Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. Kirby Superstar. Genesis or Mega Drive for you Brits. Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Quackshot. Toe Jam and Earl. Jurassic Park. Beyond Oasis or Story of Thor. Rocket Knight Adventures. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Hyperstone Heist. Streets of Rage 2. NBA Jam.
Wave it up!
Action 52. How did this get in here? No, don't play this. Don't play this. PlayStation 1. Mega Man X4. Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Metal Gear Solid. Spyro the Dragon. Crash Bandicoot 2.
Now, you might think we're done here, but oh no, we're not.
You can take this one step further by setting up a retro achievements account, which will let you earn achievements for these emulated games. Usually you have to download the retro achievement versions of these emulators in order to actually earn achievements. Also, look up the achievements before you start doing them because some of these are just downright madness. If you gave a prisoner the option of 5 years in prison or the option to 100% the Action 52 retro achievements, I'd take the 5 years. You'd probably enjoy it more. My hat goes off to you two. And maybe you should also get some help. Another option is ROM hacks. ROM hacks are modifications to existing games to add new levels or different gameplay or really anything. SMW Central is a really popular place for these. Not my jam, so I don't know a whole lot, but the option is there. Finally, you can speedrun. Now you can do this with literally any game, but I feel it often goes hand in hand with these classics. You basically try to finish a game as fast as possible. If there's a game you want to try to speedrun, either check speedrun.com for resources or head to that game's speedrun community, usually via Discord or whatever. They're usually super helpful and welcoming, so try it out.
Route 3, first-person games.
First-person games are games from the first-person perspective. Now, usually you hear these referred to as FPS or first-person shooters, but we won't be starting with the shooter. Also, these games will probably require a computer better than a toaster, but I tried to choose the ones that weren't too graphically intensive. FPS games are controlled with either a mouse and keyboard or a controller. Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. You know, it's hard to describe this game without giving away its magic. What does Wikipedia say? This game carries themes such as choice in video games and the relationship between game creator and player and the presentation/fate. I mean, I guess that's true, but it's genuinely a funny, great, quote-unquote game.
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
I highly recommend this even to experienced gamers. Super Hot. Super Hot is a game where bullets only move when you move, which should help you slowly get more accustomed to moving and shooting in a 3D space. The downside is that you may catch yourself randomly saying, Super Hot. Half-Life 2. A favorite that everyone's been waiting for a sequel for a long time. A little faster pace with a little bit more action, but all in all not insanely difficult. At least that's what my 15 plus year memory is saying. And that should get you to understand the fundamentals of first person games. Some FPS games are more twitchier, aka require more movement, or different systems, or just plain harder. Also, not even tackling multiplayer FPS games, as that's a whole other can of worms that I'm not opening up right now.
Route 4, just go for it.
I saw this game and I kind of want to play it, but what if? Just go for it. Sometimes trial by fire works really well for people. I mean, this dad's first game that he was forced to play was Dark Souls, and he grew to like the game and games as a whole. Plus, I love the saying, hey, if you can play X, you can play anything.
Games I didn't know where to put exactly, so I'm mentioning here.
Diablo 1 or 2. Great action RPG. The first one is a lot slower, and a lot less complex than the second one. Stardew Valley, a quote-unquote farming sim that has a lot of depth. There's even a side mine dungeon where you hit enemies with a sword to see how far down you can go. Cool game. For the King 2. Looks like a simple board game, but there's more to it than that. A lot of fun, especially if you play it with some friends, but it can also be enjoyed solo. Fallout New Vegas / Skyrim. I almost threw these in the FPS section, just know that the setting in New Vegas is fantastic, and while it is an FPS, it is pretty slow paced. Skyrim is, Skyrim. If an 89-year-old grandma could play it, so could you. She's still playing Skyrim? Good for her. Final Fantasy VII. Alright, I'm only mentioning this because if I don't, someone will get mad that I didn't mention Final Fantasy VII in the PlayStation section, so now you can shut your mouth.
Some general tips. It's okay to suck.
Listen, you're not going to start it as an expert. You're going to fall down a lot, and that's okay. You'll probably not understand all the systems or mechanics at first, but as long as you keep trying, you'll get better.
Steam refunds.
Any game that you buy on Steam, if you've owned it for less than 2 weeks and you've played it less than 2 hours, you can refund it for the full price. Sometimes you can get a refund if it's a little over these requirements, so it doesn't hurt to try. Other places also offer refunds, so look into that if you want to.
Don't think you're only limited to a game for help.
There are countless Wikipedia pages and guides and YouTube videos that help people with general info or builds or how to get past tough parts. So much stuff. I've probably mentioned guides at least 5 times in this video.
You don't have to complete games.
Just because you start a game doesn't mean you are bound to finish it. In fact, there's a lot of chronic game not finishers in the comments right now.
Woo! Alright, that should do for now.
I know I didn't cover every genre or talk about the actual controls, but maybe we could save those for future videos. If this was at all helpful, be sure to comment or like the video, or maybe if you're feeling fancy, subscribe. If you want to be a super fan, check out my streams over at twitch.tv/MrCuddleshare or here at this very YouTube channel. I stream Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays.
But anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the other side.